Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Unstoppable Podcast with Ralph Graves Jr. My name is Ralph Graves. So glad to have you guys here. Now I want to jump right into this. Our guest today is none other than the chemical-free body guy, Tim James. What's happening, Tim?
Hey brother, thanks for having me on today. I'm really excited to share and tell my story so other people can hopefully relate and get their health back like I did.
Man, listen, I love your story. I love your t-shirt.
Yeah. So my t-shirt, you want to tell them what it says?
It says, love when you poop. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you're just listening on your podcast, his t-shirt says, love when you poop. And we're going to discuss all of that today. This is, you guys know, if you've been listening to me, know how important I think health is. So we're going to be talking about chemical-free body. We're talking about supplements. But first, I want you guys to hear Tim James' backstory. Tim, tell us your backstory, man. Share with my audience.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for the listeners for being here for themselves. And my story it goes back to like where I was raised. I was raised on a cattle and hay farm over in Eastern Oregon. So I'm pretty much a redneck. You know, think about somebody riding a horse up in Montana. That was me. My best friend was a rodeo star, Mike McKinnon. Mike, shout out if you're listening.
Hey, Mike.
And I had a lot of fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, growing up at the base of a big ass mountain and riding motorcycles and horses and chickens, and we had everything, man, from horses and dogs and geese and ducks and rabbits and pigs. And we had everything out there. We had so much fun as kids being outside in nature. And so I got really connected with nature. You know, we had big garden, we had alfalfa and hay farm, and we had Hereford cattle. So that was my experience growing up. And, and then I got into baseball, and we actually, I'll give ourselves a little kudos. When we were 15, man, we took fifth in the world.
Wow.
In baseball, we took fifth, and it was really cool. We went to the World Series, and a little town of 11,000 people. We just had a tremendous amount of athletes that year, and that came together. It was really cool. So anyway, I played baseball at a high level for 30 years, so I was an athlete. But fast forward to age 37, I was 38 to over 40 pounds overweight. My energy was pretty much waning. I stopped going to the gym. I could barely walk the dogs. I had mental fog. I wasn't sleeping well. Yeah. I had acid reflux really bad. I was eating Tums and Rolaids all day long. I mean, it's like literally acid reflux like all day long. Doctor wanted me to go on Prilosec, but I didn't want to do it. Sounded weird. I mean, Prilosec, it just sounded like an alien or something going in my body.
Yeah, sure.
I just knew something about it was wrong. And then, fast forward a little bit farther, it got worse. Then I started bleeding rectally. And for 2 years, every time I would, go number 2, I bled. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not much pain and 10 extreme pain shoot me in my life, I was about a 6 or a 7 every time I poop.
Wow.
So it was not fun. It was poop, pain, poop, and bleed was my daily ritual. It was terrible. And I was a guy, I just kind of kept my head in the sand and wasn't telling anybody about it. And I hope that goes away.
Yeah.
And then what happened was I was on a vacation we planned in northern Peru. My wife at the time, we planned it. Her dad came. It was just like this big deal. Her dad had like never taken a vacation in 30 years, being a medical doctor and a director of a hospital down there in Lima, Peru. So we went to northern Peru to a place called Tumbes, and these beaches were amazing. Like the seashells on the beach looked like they should have been in the Smithsonian. Like it was a natural beach, just these beautiful seashells, unbelievable.
Wow.
And that trip got cut short because I started not feeling good. All of a sudden I was hunched over. I was bent over at a 90-degree angle. I couldn't even stand up straight. I missed the one plane flight out of there. So they had to drive me 6 hours on this bumpy ass road all the way to Piora, take me into a hospital. I'm on the examination table and there's flies buzzing around me. And I'm thinking, wow, I paid for my health insurance my whole life and now I can't even use it. I'm down here. Her dad's a doctor. He's like, get him doped up. They put me on a plane, which you should never do. And then he flew me into Lima because he wanted his surgical team to do the operation. And I literally flew in, got on a taxi and went right into surgery at the hospital. They had everything ready for me. And then I spent the rest of my vacation recovering. So the moral of that story is what I learned was that my poor health doesn't affect just me. It affects everybody else around me because I destroyed that beautiful trip and this beautiful, wonderful, wild place on the beach. It was just so pretty, the sunsets. And that was a wake up call. So I basically got pushed back into the United States in a wheelchair, healing. And I didn't know what I was doing with my health, man. I'd read the books. I tried high carb, low carb, more meat, less meat. And I tried everything and, kind of work here and there, but it just wasn't working. Well, then a buddy of mine on my baseball team, Calais Mahoy, gets diagnosed with cancer, stomach cancer. And he was the best shape out of all of us. He could have been like an underwear model, like an 8-pack, looking good.
Right. Yeah.
And he ended up dying 80 pounds under his weight. He looked like an Auschwitz, prisoner. And he left 3 little boys behind from ages 6 to 17. And I remember at the funeral looking at all of us tough, macho baseball players, and we're all crying. It was just like, it was a gut wrenching deal. But that was kind of, 40 years old, dying of cancer. All of a sudden I was like, wow, that's so bad. And, my grandma had died of brain cancer and my aunt had died of skin cancer, but they were older. Yeah. So you think when people get older, they die of something, right?
Sure.
So I didn't think much of it, but Clay, he's 40, but he was chewing tobacco. So maybe that's why he got the stomach cancer. So, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. So I probably won't get it. Well, guess what? 3 years later, a good friend of mine who was the vegetarian, healthy guy, he gets chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which is this blood cancer, my buddy Charles.
Wow.
And he tells me, and I'm like, what? So now I'm starting to freak out for myself because now my friends are starting to get cancer in their 40s, and I'm right behind them, right? I'm about 40, and I'm like, oh God. So Charles says, hey, look, dude, they don't got nothing for me here, and thank God, knowing what we know now. So he decided to go to this place called the Hippocrates Health Institute. It's like this natural detox and nutrition clinic in West Palm Beach, Florida. Okay. They've been around like 61 years at the time. So I said, yeah, he wanted me to go with him. I'm like, yeah, I'm in, dude, whatever you need, I'll support you. So January 1st, 2011, we fly to this place. And on the plane flight there, he's like, hey man, just so you know, when we get there, there's no meat, there's no dairy, there's no salt, there's no sugar, nothing's cooked over 115 degrees. There's no vinegar. And I was like, what? What do you mean no meat? So yeah. You're talking to the guy that hunts deer and elk and chuckers and pheasants, and like we raise our own cattle. And I'm like, if it wasn't my friend dying of cancer, there's no way I would go to this place.
Right. Okay.
Right? But here I am, the guy with all the health issues. I have eczema on both of my elbows. I have a huge patch on my knee, all the issues I told you guys about.
Sure.
And I had another patch of the skin issue disorder on my back shoulder. I forgot to tell you. But anyway, so I'm molding. I didn't know it from the inside out, and I didn't know it. So we go to this place, and then the first day, my acid reflux is gone. First day. And and then the third day, the second day, this doctor comes out, Dr. Scott, I think it was Jorgensen, and this guy's like ripped, he's buff. And I thought he's like 40 years old. Come to find out that was his 50th birthday that day. I was like, wow, this guy looks amazing. And he said he hadn't ate meat for 10 years. And I'm like, it blew my mind. So now I'm like, I thought you had to have meat for muscle, but this guy was like, it blew my mind. And I knew he wasn't BSing me. He was, and for those of you listening, I'm not saying you have to give up meat. That's not where I'm going. I'm just telling you what happened. So This healing diet, they put people on plants for a reason, because it's a healing diet. Now, some people go back and eat meat, some don't. It's up to you. But anyway, so he starts teaching us about internal awareness. This class, it was a 3.5-hour lecture, and he taught us from the time we eat food, it goes in until it exits, everything that happens. Well, that was an eye-opener. But was really an eye-opener is that he started showing pictures of inside the colon of healthy people versus people that were unhealthy, like 24-year-old female with irritable bowel syndrome and and breast cancer. And her colon's like nasty, like browns and yellows. And then another 54-year-old female with thrush, which is like a candida yeast issue. And she's got white stuff in there. And then 64-year-old man with parasites and prostate cancer. You see worms crawling around inside of him. And then he says, these people ate the standard American diet, and that's what their colon looks like. And I'm like, oh, crap, that's got to be my colon, because I'm eating all the stuff he's talking about, right? He said, if you eat this stuff, this is what your colon looks like. And I'm like, well, I eat a little bit of that, but not like that. So what he's trying to sell us on was a colon hydrotherapy session. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of that, but I'm not.
Yeah, so basically what it is for the listeners, you sit on a tube rectally, and water gently goes in and out of your colon for about an hour, and it cleans your colon. Right. Why would you want to do that? Well, because the doctor was talking to us. He said the average person has 6. Now, listen to this. This is the reality. And I've done this for 10 years. And the average person, if you're on the standard American diet, you have 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material and mucoid plaques lining the small and large intestine.
I've heard that.
So the doctor's teaching this, and he looked at me and he's like, Tim, you got 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. And if you ever want to get healthy, truly healthy, not have all these diseases and disorders like it's afflicting all these people in America, he goes, you got to clean that sucker out and keep it clean. And so they basically teach you how to become your own best mechanic. You take the car into the shop and you flush out the engine so it'll run right. It's all it is. It's really simple. I didn't want to do it in the beginning. I was elbowing my buddy Charles, said, I'm come here to help you, but I'm not doing that deal. But after they showed the pictures of the inside, I was the first one on it. So long story short, the next day I go to the colon hydrotherapy session. They weigh me. I do the deal. They weigh me again. I drop 10 pounds of impacted fecal material in 1 hour session.
You got to be kidding me.
The record at the place was one lady, she dropped 27 pounds in an hour. So in 60 some years, they had one lady, 67 or 27 pounds came out of her. Think about that.
Wow.
Let that sink in. So why would that be a problem? Well, the reason why, like you said, is that your colon is not a storage tank. It's a waste removal system.
Sure.
But the cooked foods, the processed foods, the radiated foods, the canned, the bagged, the boxed, all these foods, and they spray them with these chemical, they call it enriching it with vitamins. They're synthetics. They're acid-based derivatives. They're like poisons, micro poisons, but they call them, vitamins. And these things screw up everything inside of us, and gluten from wheat and the GMOs and all these things. And they destroy us inside, and then our outside shows. That's why my skin was a mess. I was tired. I wasn't feeling good. So I basically just roto-rooted myself in a gentle way, and I stopped the bad inputs. I changed to good input. I changed the environment. And by changing the environment, my stomach and my digestive tract cleaned out. And why is that a big deal? Because when you have all that funk and gunk and junk inside of you, you're raising your acid levels. See, I was living a very high acid, low oxygen lifestyle. Okay. And what they taught us is you want to have a high alkaline, high oxygen lifestyle. Why? Because the harmful organisms, viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus, and parasites love low oxygen, high acid. Yeah. So I changed my internal terrain, and they packed their bags and left. That's what happened. That's why at the lunch table, I would see people with parasites crawling out of their pores. One lady at the lunch table had a parasite crawling out of her eye. I'm like, hey, you got a little parasite coming out of you. Wow. And she's like, oh God, that's so gross. And I tell that story, and people are like, half of them don't believe it, and then half of them are grossed out. But the reality is that
I don't know where I am with that story. I'm kind of
they leave, dude. It's like it's like Frosty the Snowman. If it gets sunny, he's gonna melt, so he's got to go back to the North Pole, right? You make your body high alkaline, high oxygen. Harmful organisms leave, and this is not like rocket science. It's just common sense. If you lived in Chicago and you're putting your garbage out in the streets and the alleys. Well, what happens? The garbage truck takes it away. Sure. When the garbage truck drivers strike, the garbage piles up, and in comes the bugs and the rats. Sure. That's the viruses, the bacteria, the mold, the yeast, the fungus, the parasites, and the mutagens. These cancers love this stuff. Yeah. So you clean up the garbage, and the bugs and the rats go away. It's the environment, stupid. That's what Dr. Bruce Lipton said. He's told himself, it's the environment, stupid. He kept saying that to himself. Yeah. If we change our internal environment, we change our health permanently, and we can reclaim our health. And that's exactly what we did. We flew back to Portland, and we stuck with the lifestyle. And then in 2.5 years, my buddy healed himself of this cancer. He's thriving. He was able to see his son go to high school, graduate, and then go to father-son weekends in college. It's been 10 years. He's in the best shape of his life. He's ran 6 marathons. I actually ran the first one with him. I couldn't believe I did it. And we're friends, and we get to hang out, and we have a life, and we just changed our lifestyle. That's what it really boiled down to. And we got our health back. And for me, within 60 days, the eczema on both my elbows and my back was gone. In 8 months, the big patch on my knee was gone. In 60 days, my ribs came back. I actually was an athlete again. I was kidding myself. I was joking that I was still an athlete, but now I'm 47. I've been able to maintain this for it's 10 years. 10 years. And then we've now coached over 600 people personally. We have a private group coaching program. We launched these products and to make it easier for people. And, that's what we're doing now is just trying to get the awareness out there that you have got to clean your gut. You got to clean it up, and you got to get these chemicals out of your body.
And I think this message is so very important, especially now. Everybody's running to chemical solutions. And me and my wife, we talk about all the time. We know that our bodies have been designed to defeat viruses and bacteria. Our body wants to win, but we just don't give it what it needs to win. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that men and women like you are out there that can instruct us on how to do that is phenomenal. And I hope you guys are listening are really it's more than just about losing the weight. Losing the weight, that's cool. But did you hear what he said? Skin rashes, everything we want to blame on eczema, we want to blame everything on everything else. A lot of it has to do with, all of it has to do with our diet and the nutrition that our body is not getting.
Yeah, let me give you an example. So after all that, the genome project where they were trying to prove that us humans had like millions of genes, and the lowly earthworms got about 20,000 genes. Well, guess what they came up with? We have about the same amount of genes as an earthworm.
Yeah.
So that whole thing's done. And what I've learned is what they do is, like, when they're doing cancer research, man, what they'll do is they'll take a healthy human cell, throw it in a petri dish, and they'll put it into an environment in that petri dish that's a known carcinogen. They know it's going to cause cancer. So they put the cell in the carcinogenic environment, the cell mutates, they study that, and then they try to come up with some synthetic chemical that they can patent at a high profit margin and sell to you, so you don't have to change your lifestyle. You just keep on living your life the way you're doing.
Yeah.
And then they can make a bunch of money on you. But they're never going to figure this shit out. It's never going to happen. So my thought was, why don't we not put our healthy cells in that poor environment in the first place?
Right.
And again, there's so many examples of this. Let's look at the turn of the century. What was going on? Plagues, measles, all these problems. What was going on? Well, people were living in poop and urine, and there was dead goats and horses in the water. And it was the women's labor movement that made America awesome. Women's labor movement, not only did they get children out of the labor force, they got the 8-hour workday, they cleaned up the work environment, but also brought in sanitation workers, and they brought in the plumber. The sanitation worker and the plumber has done more for the health of Americans than any doctor or pharmacist ever will.
Yeah.
And you can look at the charts. I mean, the measles, an example, dude, they had like 13 to 14 deaths per 100,000 at the turn of the century in 1900. Wow. And from the sanitation and the plumbers, it dropped. So by the 1950s, it was down under 1 per death per 100,000.
Wow.
The measles vaccine came in at 1963. So was it the measles vaccine that saved us? No. It was the women's labor movement. Men were involved too. It was cleaning up the filthy living conditions. They changed the environment, and our bodies responded. That's what it's all about. We have to change our environment, and we can do this on a personal level and change our environment.
Sure.
Reclaim our health and be an example to others. That's how we do it. And that's how we get our health back.
So I know my listeners, so how does one get started? How somebody's listening today and saying, listen, I agree 100%. I have tried everything. I don't like the way Prilosec sounds. I don't want to take Pepcid AD or Pepcid. I'm a firm believer, and I know I'm going to get beat up for this, but hey, it's called the Unstoppable Program of Ralph Graves Jr. I believe my father's, God rest his soul, his Parkinson's issues was brought on by long-term use of blood pressure medication. I believe that wholeheartedly. So how does one say, you know what, I get it. I need to start cleaning up my environment, my body, which God calls me to be a steward of. God wants me to steward my body, not pharmaceutical companies. Where do I start, Tim James? How do I start? Where do I start?
Well, let's do this. I want to lay one more piece of groundwork of awareness inside of our bodies, and then I'll give you guys 4 easy steps that you can follow right now today. How's that sound?
That sounds great, man.
Okay, so the inside, the digestive tract is the driving engine. Okay, this is the engine of the body. The digestive tract has to be clean. We got to clean out that 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material and mucoid plaque lining those intestinal walls, so that nutrients can get through the intestinal wall and into the bloodstream. Period. You are not what we eat. We are what we absorb. And if it can't get through the intestinal wall, you got problems. Now, it was worse for me because of years and years of this fermentation going on inside of me. I had little openings in my intestinal walls. This is called leaky gut. And then undigested food particles and microbes get into the bloodstream, and they cause inflammation, and that could lead to thyroid issues, Hashimoto's, Graves, cancer, headaches, fibromyalgia, whatever, MS. You could, whatever your predisposition is to a weakness, as you start breaking down. So I healed that up. Okay, now the second thing is chemical toxicity. Here's the deal. Don't take my word for it. When you're done listening to this podcast, go to your browser and type in 3 words: umbilical cord and chemical. Those 3 words, umbilical cord and chemical. And you will see the studies that I saw over 8 years ago, going back to 2005, showing that every time the researchers and the scientists and the doctors studied and took lab tests on umbilical cord blood of brand new babies and these healthy young mothers, supposedly, they looked for 400 chemicals, Ralph. Guess how many they found?
How many?
250 of what they were looking for.
Wow.
And 180 of these cause cancer in humans, and 212
Wow.
cause developmental and brain disorders, and so on and so forth. So here's the deal.
Wow.
We are born polluted. The problem is these chemicals are so microscopic, we can't see them, and it's out of sight, out of mind. And human beings, for some reason, it's always has to be seeing is believing. We have to get educated. We have to have awareness. Like it's you get educated nowadays, or you're going to be a slave to a poor body, a slave to a poor government. It's all this stuff, right?
Sure.
So I've flipped out and I'm like, oh my God, we're all polluted. And the older you are, the longer you've had time for these toxins to bioaccumulate in your blood, your fat, and your muscle tissue.
Okay.
How do they come in? Pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, larvicides, chemical fertilizers, GMOs. Did you know when they genetically modify something, a plant, they disturb its metabolism, and then that plant starts producing formaldehyde?
Wow.
Where is formaldehyde typically used that people know about?
In embalming.
Embalming dead bodies.
Yeah.
Okay, you're embalming yourself. So what's happening now is like, go talk. Take a field trip. Go down to your local mortuary and talk to them and ask them what's going on with embalming and stuff when older people. They'll tell you a lot of the people are pretty much embalmed when they show up. They don't even have to put much.
Wow.
They don't have to put much in them anymore.
Wow.
We are embalming ourselves from the toxins and the chemicals and the genetically modified foods. It's that insidious. Okay.
Wow.
But it's out of sight, out of mind. You could be OCD and your kitchen's sparkling clean, but probably 8 out of 10 times if I'm at, and I put my finger across the top of your fridge, there's going to be dust there because you can't see it. You couldn't reach it, right? That's what's going on the inside of us. We take good care of our hair. We get ready, ladies, with our makeup on. The guys, we comb our hair, we shave, we get our beard looking good, suits tight and right, and we go outside. But what about the inside? You can't see it, so it doesn't get attention, and nobody's ever brought awareness to it or gave you the tools to keep it clean. So this is a big problem. We have to get these chemical toxins out of the blood, the fat, and the muscle tissue because they are destroying and pulling down our immune system. As soon as you start getting these things out, your immune system is going to go back up because it doesn't have to deal with them on a daily basis.
Sure.
Right? So cleaning the gut, number one. Number two is purifying the blood, fat, and muscle tissue of these toxic chemicals, the no-see-ums. And then, okay, now how do we start doing this stuff? Well, it's real simple. We call these our core 4 secrets. This is foundational. I have people pay me thousands of dollars a month, and this is the first thing we teach them. Number one, core secret number one, and less than 5% of the population is doing this, is drink half your body weight in liquid ounces of purified and restructured water daily.
Write that down, guys. Say it again. Say it again.
Drink half your body weight in liquid ounces of purified water. And if you're in the city, restructured water daily. Here's why. So if you're,
let me ask you, Tim, real quick. How does that look like? I'm 223 pounds.
I'm talking. If you're 200 pounds, that's 100 ounces a day. If you're 100 pounds, that's 50 ounces a day.
Gotcha.
If you live in an arid, dry, hot climate and you do a lot of exercise, triathlons, that kind of stuff, you're going to need a little bit more, maybe 25%, 25%. So just kind of depend on your lifestyle and where you live. Now that you got that metric, now it's like, why do we need to purify our water? Well, if you go 1,500 miles into the interior today, the researchers have found in these pristine lakes that the little 2 and 2.5 inch fish have both male and female organs today. Why? Okay. They're turning into hermaphrodites. It's the estrogen mimickers from the plastics. The plastics are so pervasive today, these microplastics, that they're in the rainwater and they get into the lakes and they're disrupting the hormonal balance of the little fishies and the amphibians. Well, do you think that we're isolated and we're not being exposed to that?
I could talk for hours. Right.
We are. This leads for women, breast cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cysts, uterine cysts, weight gain, hair falling out for women, mustache growing for women. For men, man boobs, fatigue, prostate cancer. These are all things that are contributing factors. They're throwing off our hormones, our communications in our body. This is not good. So these estrogen mimicking plastics, and where do they come from? They come from crude oil. And what else? I know as a baseball player and an athlete, you probably were pretty pumped when Nike Dry Fit came out and Under Armour, because we didn't have to wear those heavy cotton things that got all sweaty when you have to change them halfway through the game, right?
Sure, yeah.
Unfortunately, polyesters, nylons, and lycras for your bras, ladies, come from crude oil, and they take 3,000 chemicals to manufacture those synthetic threads.
Wow. That
pollutes the crap out of the environment. Then you wear them and you sweat, and then those estrogen mimickers go right into your skin. And for women wearing a bra or your panties, or guys wearing boxers like this, these are high hormonal areas. and it goes right into you. After 1,000 washes, Ralph, guess what?
What's that?
97% still off gassing of those materials. After 1,000 washes, it's off gassing. So when you wear a
Wow.
Nike, Under Armour thing or whatever, you
Sure.
think you're looking good. They show the models. You're
Yeah.
actually feminizing yourself. And for women, you're doing the opposite. So
Ooh.
it's screwing up trying to have children and all this other stuff,
So I got
right?
to stick with cotton. Stick with cotton, fellas, ladies.
Yeah,
Stick with cotton.
natural fiber clothing, and there's companies coming up now, like Pact PACT and Task Performance Wear
Uh-huh.
TASC. But you got to be careful with all these companies too, because sometimes they'll sell the synthetic ones. I don't do more than 5% like synthetic now. I have to have at least 95% or more, and preferably 100%. So anyway, that's why we got to purify our water today. I mean, 71% of rainwater has acid rain and glyphosate in it, which is from Roundup. This is a tremendous problem. So we have to purify our water. Now, if you're on the city, it's a second step, because the city and I used to work on water lines as a construction worker, high pressure pipes. And these high pressure pipes coagulate the water molecules, and they take it from a 4 or 5 cluster that's natural in nature, and it gets up to like 20 to 25. Well, what does that mean? Your intestinal tract is like a chain link fence, and stuff is supposed to go through it, but it only allows the small little particles, right?
Okay.
Well, a big water molecule is like a bowling ball. How well is that bowling ball going to go through a chain link fence? It's not. You're going
It's
to drink a
not.
lot of water and you're going to pee it out. If the water's small and restructured in its natural states like sand, and you just throw it through the chain link fence, most of it goes through, some will bounce out, and you pee it out. It goes through the system. In 2018, excuse me, I got into restructured water, and it changed my life. I'm literally high on water all day long. Can you tell how much energy I have already?
Yeah, you
Like,
got
it's
that energy.
ridiculous, dude. It's because I had this water this morning, and by drinking this type of water, you get 80% more absorption of the nutrients from the food you eat and the supplements that you take.
But let me ask you, Tim, real fast. We talked about plastics. Even my purified water, it comes in a plastic bottle.
Yep,
Like
estrogen mimickers. Here's what people have to do. You have to create your own water source in your home. Now,
okay.
if you don't have the money to do it up front, you can at least get gallon glass jars and go to your local grocery store and at least get single purified water, either reverse osmosis, deionization, or distillation. One of those three, and you at least single purified water is 90% purified. I
So,
prefer.
but even that water there is sold in plastic, right?
No, you buy gallon glass jars and you make it right on the spot. You
Gotcha.
make it right on the spot. Just don't put it in plastic.
Okay.
That's step one, but it takes a little work. You got to pack the bottles back and forth, and a lot of people do it. And 25 to 44 cents a gallon. It's a cheap investment. This is insurance policy to make sure that you stay healthy your whole life and have a vibrant, healthy life. Water, your
Sure.
body's mostly made of it, right?
Sure. Sure.
Now, what we teach people to do is purify the water, then run it through a machine that will restructure it, alkalize it, and then charge it with molecular hydrogen.
Okay.
And that's what we do. So if people have questions about that, I've got this gal, her name's Danusha, and she's like our water gal. I call her water woman. She healed herself of post-traumatic stress disorder after childbirth with this water I'm talking about and concentrated food supplements like we have. So
Okay.
that's how she did it. She's highly sensitive to toxins. If there's like bleach in the room, she gets sick. So she can't even be around that stuff anymore.
Okay.
Highly sensitive, right? So you can reach her at danusha.com. It's DANOUCHA.com. It's like Donna in Poland or whatever.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so that's the big one, water. Okay, now let's go through the rest of them. It takes very little time. Core secret number 2 is chew your food until liquefied. You have teeth for a reason. They're there to masticate your food and break it into smaller particles so your stomach can break it down. But
Sure.
most of the digestion actually takes place in our mouths. We have two ducts in our upper mouth and 4 ducts in the lower mouth that secrete these enzymes, amylase and lipase. These are going to break down your starches and your fats.
Okay.
So you chew your food really well, load your food with these enzymes. The food and the enzymes goes in your stomach, and in the stomach, the enzymes break your food down. Now for the protein, we have hydrochloric acid, another substance called pepsin. It does its job down there and then goes through the duodenum into the small intestine and down the road it goes. That's how we're supposed to do it. Now, less than 4% of the population is chewing your food well. If you don't chew your food well, you're going to have fermentation and gut rot like me. The body has 2 ways to get food through you. It's either going to ferment and rot,
Okay.
destroy your intestinal villi, those hair-like structures that are pulling the nutrients in through the intestinal lining into the blood, or it's going to digest and absorb. I prefer digest and absorb. That's how I healed myself. So I chew my food well. Core secret number 3, less than 2% of the population is doing this. Now that you're drinking a lot of water to hydrate the cell and you're chewing your food well, now you avoid liquids with meals. Why would you do that?
Okay.
Because you just spent all that time loading your food with enzymes. If you drink purified restructured water or beer or wine or apple juice, you're going to dilute those enzymes and you're going to go right back to fermentation and gut rot. And you're going to destroy those intestinal villi. And if you destroy your villi, you're going to age faster. You're going to look older. You're going to get more wrinkles and you're going to have problems.
Wow.
The inside, it's an inside job. Now, the last one, less than 1% of the population is doing this. We added this later. Do some breath exercises, breath work, breath play, whatever you call it, for 1 to 2 minutes prior to eating. Why? Would you agree that we live in a stressed out society today?
I agree wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. So even if you don't think you're stressed, most likely you are. Okay.
Okay.
So when you're in fight or flight mode, the blood leaves the organ systems and it goes to the extremities, the hands, arms, legs, and feet to fight or flight, to run, get the heck out of there. You can't digest your food well. So what we have people do is simply do this. Before you sit down, you take a big, deep breath in through the nose like this, and then pause at the top, and then out through the mouth, nice and slow. Nice, long, slow flow. Just let it all go. Mm-hmm. Then pause at the bottom with your lungs completely emptied, and then back in through the nose, and then hold at the top, and then release out through the mouth.
Right.
Just let it all go. And then again, pause at the bottom, and then repeat that process for 1 to 2 minutes. Now, if anybody of you just did that with me, you're already feeling more calm. It works. This is a tool in the toolkit to reduce, to pull that blood from the extremities back into the organ systems. And while you're doing your breath work, you can start using your grateful practice and be grateful for the food and grateful for the people around you. And then when you eat, be very quiet while you eat, chew your food well. And then I forgot to mention one thing on when you avoid liquids with meals, mm-hmm. you on that core secret number 3, you stop drinking liquids 30 minutes before you eat. And then you wait an hour after before you start drinking liquids again. Okay. That'd be for beginners. Now, if you're stage 4 cancer or Olympic level athlete, you'd stop drinking liquids an hour before you eat, and you'd wait 2 hours after you're done eating before you drink liquids again, then drink a lot of them. Okay. So sorry, I forgot about that. But anyway, so that's it. So drink a lot of purified restructured water, chew your food until liquefied, avoid liquids with meals, and then do some breath work before you eat. And that breath work can also be used many times throughout the day, anytime you're stressed.
Sure. Yeah.
And for those of you that are feeling depressed, anxiety, social anxiety, by chewing your food really well, Dr. Gabriel Cousins showed us that there's meridian points in our teeth, and we can actually uptake our serotonin, our happy juice, by up to 500% by stimulating our meridian points by chewing our food really well. So there's a major added benefit for people that are dealing with depression or just want to be happier. These are so profound and powerful that they work so well. We ship our products all over the world, man. And because of the COVID, it could take 2 weeks to a month for something to get to Australia or Ireland. Right. But we have emails coming in daily. Tim, my gas and bloating is getting better. My energy's picking up. My mental fog is going away. And guess what? They don't even have the products yet. They're practicing 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of these core 4 secrets, and their health's improving.
Wow. So talk to me about the supplements. Talk to me about your supplements versus what we see at the vitamin shop, GNC.
Well, not all supplements are bad, but most of them are. Okay. So what I had to become a label reader, and our products, I'm a coach. That's what we do. Our main business at Chemical Free Bodies, we're health coaches. We have private, one-on-one, and group coaching. Okay. But the supplements came out of frustration because I would go do all this research and I'd read all the labels and all the ingredients, and I'd look it all up from the good sites to the bad sites, and I'd call the companies and okay, it says natural flavors, but what actually is then flavor in there? And you know what I found out about that?
What's that?
For 70 years by law, if it says natural flavors, only 10% has to be natural by law. Up to 90% can be a synthetic toxic acid-based chemical.
Wow.
And guess what? It's usually 90% the synthetic toxic acid-based chemical. Why? Because it's cheaper, right? And they can make the flavor, these chemical things take over, and they block and they mask and they make flavors taste better because people's taste buds are all jacked up. Yeah. Right. So I remember reading this one product that I was using and telling other people about, and they're counting on me to do the research, and all of a sudden I'm looking at it and there's a new ingredient. It's like xanthan gum. So I go look it up. Mutated corn syrup fermented in bacteria. Who wants to eat that?
Right.
And then it could be genetically modified. I don't know. And I'm like, I had to call all my clients, send it back. Don't order it anymore. They put this crap in there. I don't know why. And this kept happening over and over again. I got frustrated. So I started my own supplement company because the reality is that 85% of the supplements that you buy on the market are made by pharmaceutical companies, and they're pure synthetics. So they get you either way. They're going to get you a synthetic. They'll put Nature Boy on it with a bunch of flowers and have our vitamin C or our multivitamin, right?
Yeah.
And then so 92% of all the supplements in the market are synthetics, because there's guys like me they're in the supplement business, but then they're also selling synthetics. They're not selling whole food. What you're looking for is the whole food herbal versions. That's about 8%.
Okay.
But there's a big but here.
What's that?
There's this thing called other ingredients on the label.
Yes, I see that.
The other ingredients are also ingredients. They're still in there. Now, if you looked at my labels, I don't know if this thing will show up, and where's it at here? I'll try to show it if it'll zoom in. But you see where it says no magnesium stearate,
yes,
no silicon dioxide, no dicalcium phosphate. Why would I take time and space on my jars to do that? Because I'm trying to bring awareness to this. Check your labels. If your product and other ingredients says magnesium stearate, silicon dioxide, or dicalcium phosphate, you might want to get your money back. Silicon dioxide, Ralph, is a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list. Yet it's in most supplements. Check your labels, right?
You're going to make me run to my cabinet right now.
Dude, it's crazy. So for those of you, that's the easiest way. Now, here's how you read a label. Take your multivitamin, and there's a bunch of stuff in there. Just go to vitamin C. If it says vitamin C, and then in parentheses behind it, ascorbic acid, you are consuming a synthetic acid-based chemical, a derivative. It's not the full spectrum. It's like, how would I put this? It's like, if you get what it should say in parentheses behind it is from the Arceola cherry, or from the camu berry, or from the amla berry, my favorite, right?
Yeah, you got to make me run to my cabinet right now. Matter of fact, don't move. I'm grabbing mine out.
Okay, I'll keep talking about this stuff.
Keep talking.
All right, so you got to look at these labels. So these are synthetic nutrients. Now, when this vitamin C comes from the amla berry, it's going to come into the body like a symphony orchestra. You're going to have the horns and the woodwinds and the flutes and the tambourine, everything. And it comes in beautifully. It's beautiful music. But when you take the synthetic version, the ascorbic acid version, that's like the guy who picks up, he's never played guitar, and he's got an electric guitar, and he's got the amp turned up really loud, and he's making a lot of noise. The human body does not know how to recognize it. It actually treats it as an invader or and it has to rally the immune system to go deal with this acid-based chemical that you just put in your body. Now,
all right, I'm back.
Here's the difference. If you take this vitamin C and you think it's going to help you, it's going to. That's how powerful the mind is. So my thing is like, let's take a good vitamin C, use the power of the mind, and put something good into your body. So your physical body can actually, and biochemically, can get something from nature that's carbon-based, like your carbon-based body, not acid-based, and acid and carbon just don't work. All right, what you got?
What isn't it supposed to say after vitamin C?
If it says ascorbic acid, you have a synthetic chemical there.
It says magnesium ascorbic and calcium ascorbic.
Yeah. So there's synthetics.
This is trash.
Yeah, and people are spending a lot of money on it. And like, I knew a guy, dude, when I was doing, I did mortgage loans years ago, and I did a loan for him like a long time ago. And he owned a porta potty business, and he was out showing me his porta potty business. He goes, you know what's interesting? He goes, look at this. And he's like, shh, and he cleaned one out, and he's dumping it, and he took a hose and he sprayed on the screen. And guess what was left? Vitamins. And you could see it right on the side of the vitamin, Centrum 50 or whatever. A lot of these things won't even digest for many reasons. You're paying money for stuff, and you're just peeing out. And the problem is you're putting toxins into your body, and then you're peeing them back out into the environment. And then we all have to deal with the toxins you purchased, your Centrum 50 or
I'm looking at other ingredients, silicone dioxide.
Yeah. It's a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list. Right. So that's how you have to be I had to turn into like a Sherlock Holmes to figure this stuff out. So all of our products have none of that crap. All of our products are sun dried or air dried. They're very highly concentrated juice extracts. They're herbal. There's no slave labor involved. They're dried under 110 degrees to keep the enzymes active, the life force active. And that's why people will like intuitives, like at a show, like I'll do a veg fest or whatever, like before COVID. And these people would come by, they're like Reiki masters. I used to think that stuff was woo-woo. They'll take a drink of my greens and their eyes get really big and they're like, what's in this? And it's, we tell them, they're like, I'll take 6. And they don't even ask. They just want 6 of them. And then my helpers are like, what's going on? And it's like, and I ask him, like, what do you notice? He's like, I can tell my energy picked up like that. So that's the frequency that's transferring. This is what you get from living food. So even though the food's not technically, picked out of the ground fresh like that, that's what you want. That's the best.
Sure.
It's high. It's as close as you can get because we go through extreme measures to keep those enzymes active so that it actually transfers electric to your cell and charges you like it's charging an Energizer bunny. Basically, it's like plugging into the wall.
Tim, how do we find your products? Where do we go to find your products? How can my audience get over to you to learn more, maybe even be coached by you? People on here, I know personally, skin problems. My wife has to be very careful of what she eats. Vinegar will set her crazy.
Yeah. Typical if people have allergies, whether it's pet allergies, seasonal allergies, or food allergies, we've seen those clear up in somewhere between 6 months to 3 years on this lifestyle because it just takes time. It's usually allergies are a combination of long-term nutrient deficiencies, chemical buildup in the body, stress. So if we work on those 3 things, you can eventually not have your allergies. And for those of you that the seasonal allergies coming, it's miserable. I have some friends, they are miserable. But some of them aren't willing to change. They're going to keep eating the way they're eating, doing what they're doing, drinking the way they're drinking. And, there's choices and we have choices and these choices have consequences. So, but if people want to get healthy, we can help them, show them the way, but they have to do it. I can't do it for you. I'm just a regular guy. I was playing baseball, hunting, fishing. I did construction. I was in a financial advisor for 7 years. And I got into this business after my little brother was killed in a mountain biking accident. And because I just decided, it's like, I want to do what I love. And it's like, it's not about the money anymore. I got into this because I wanted to help people not feel like me, like in pain every day. Sure. And there's a lot of people out there. It's a problem. So I'm going to do whatever I can do to create a ripple effect and help those that are willing and open and able. Best way to find us is at just our website at chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. I've also got a lot of free information. I have a podcast called The Health Hero Show, and we have a lot of great guests. And I have a lot of other podcasts where I just did it by myself and I go deep into like detox and nutrition, or I go deep into fasting, and you guys can take notes. We also have this private group coaching community you can join. That's awesome. And we go live every week, and I do a topic, and we do live Q&A with you right on the spot. We have guests, all kinds of cool stuff, man. But, and we have a lot of products, so I know it's a little confusing when you go there. So what I'd recommend is when you go to the website, go to the products tab and go to savings bundles. That way you can get a discount. And you can start off with a jumpstart bundle. That'll get you a nice little 15-day clean out your gut and boost your energy and your mental clarity. Or you can do what I do, which is all the way up to the total energy and detox bundle. And then I also take our turmeric product because it's a breakthrough in turmeric. It's like 185 times more anti-inflammatory. So it's major for pain and inflammation and nutrient absorption. And then at checkout, they can put in the code, thanks to you, Unstoppable, and get 5% off their first order. So you guys, if you use the savings bundles and Ralph's code Unstoppable, you can get a double discount, and we have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products. That's how confident I am on them. And if something doesn't work, call us, email us, let us know. Most likely it'll get forwarded to me. I will call you, or one of our coaches will call you, and we will find out the solution. We'll refund your money if we need to, and then we'll find another product in our batch or in another company, or a therapy, or something you can do, a food, something to get you what you need to get, what your body needs to keep you moving forward with your health. We're committed to success over here with your health, not just selling some supplements. The supplements are just part of the toolkit. We have a much larger toolkit that you can plug into.
I'm going straight there, man. I'm going straight there because this is important to me. This is really important to me.
Well, if you do that, and you get, we can take some time after this, and I'll kind of instruct you where to kind of start. Okay. And then you could have me back on in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days after you've been on the products, and you can just tell your results, because I already know what's going to happen. Yeah.
I will. Certainly will. Tim, thanks for your time. Thanks for educating us. Thank you for being a part of this Unstoppable podcast and this Unstoppable community. I can't wait to get there. Guys, you know how to get there. It's chemical. What is it again? The website?
Chemicalfreebody.com.
Chemicalfreebody.com. Get there. Get there. Get there and get well. Get there and get better. Get there and be unstoppable. Guys, if you haven't, pick up a copy of my book, Unstoppable. If you haven't joined the Unstoppable community, go to ralphgravesjr.com/community. Become part of that Unstoppable community for $10 a month. There's videos. We dive deep into some questions and some journaling to really pull out the best in you. You get on my calendar to be able to get a call with me and talk over some things, but get there. But anyway, Tim, thanks for being on the Unstoppable program. Guys, get over to his website. Let's be unstoppable together. I'll see you guys next time. God bless you.